A new study out shows there may be gross underreporting of opioid-related deaths, meaning the opioid crisis may be far worse than initially thought.
It's a synthetic drug approved by the FDA to help treat severe pain.
Thinking that that had no consequences.
Epidemic is so bad that it's dragging down our average life expectancy.
To work, and they'll stop, hang out with me, try this drug for the first time, and then leave their life.
100 times more potent than morphine.
Overdoses could be 28% higher than reported due to incomplete death records.
The number of people who have died from opioid use has more than
looked at a
doubled.
total of 632,331 drug overdoses between 1999 and 2016.
And when something makes it big in America, it's not long before Australia follows suit.
Welcome to MacArthur, located in Canberra's south, where local residents are experiencing heightening rates of robbery, property damage and assault. The suburb of MacArthur is located within the Tuggeranong district of Canberra, established in 1982 and named for John MacArthur, a pioneer of Australia's merino wool industry. In its infancy, it was discussed that MacArthur would suffer economically due to its proximity to this, Canberra's landfill and resource management facility. Although at the time this was purely theoretical, we can now say with certainty that it ended up being fact. MacArthur is struggling. According to the socioeconomic indexes for areas, on a list of 100 Canberra suburbs, with 100 being the most advantaged, MacArthur ranks at spot 15. Further investigating these socioeconomic indexes, a 2021 report by the ACT government found emphatically that MacArthur's population is dominated by disadvantaged citizens. Further demonstrating MacArthur's low socioeconomic status is its housing crisis, evident damage and vandalism, and high rates of violent crime. Through our investigation, we are finding a common thread between all of these issues, and that is Canberra's growing abuse of prescription drugs. Oxycodone is the most prescribed opioid in Australia, with 5.7 million prescriptions given out in 2021. As many as 1 in 5 Australians have admitted to using these opioids for illicit purposes. This is why we're in MacArthur. Illicit drug use is highly prevalent within the Tuggeranong region, and that is no better displayed than right here. Specifically according to ACT Health, illicit opioid usage within MacArthur has risen dramatically in the last 5 years, leading to significant health concerns in residents and even more overdoses in the area.
Go on! I'll take the lot of you guys! I don't give a f***! I'll smash your camera! Let's go!
This is the location where a violent brawl broke out on the streets of MacArthur, resulting in the assailants and bystanders trying to intervene to be heavily injured. Unfortunately for residents, it's not an uncommon occurrence, and it's increasingly obvious that opioid usage is playing a significant role here. Crime rates within the suburb have risen in tandem with illicit pharmaceutical usage. In just 5 years, MacArthur's crime rate has risen by a staggering 37%, from 127 to 173 recorded offences. Terrifyingly, 24% of last year's offences were violent crimes, such as assault, robbery, and even abduction. Through our research and time spent in MacArthur, we've discovered a direct link between the low socioeconomic status of the suburb and a heightened percentage of drug-related incidents. According to Veronica Repair at Harvard University, regardless of urbanicity, elevated rates of patient-owned drugs were found in more socioeconomically disadvantaged postcodes. The low-income nature of this suburb has left its residents vulnerable to an epidemic that preys on poverty, mental illness, and lack of support in healthcare. The impacts on MacArthur have been disastrous thus far, and we are already seeing similar results across the rest of Canberra's south. With the rising crime rates across Southside, we are now at real risk of seeing the influences of this opioid sickness spread to the rest of the ACT, affecting citizens regardless of socioeconomic status. Lack of care and initiative from our government has led to an ever-growing crisis that needs action now, before it's too late.
So how do you feel about what you've just watched?
It's going a bit to shit.
Yeah, it is worrying. It's concerning.
Shocked.
Terrified.
In a way, overwhelmed by all that. That's a lot of serious topics that were brought up.
That's certainly interesting.
Even the footage was pretty intense.
I have lived in what would be the MacArthur of Albury.
Yeah, it's kind of up to see.
Surprised.
Would you feel safe visiting MacArthur, especially alone or at night?
I would not do it if I had any other option.
Definitely not alone or at night.
I guess it enforce my ideas the south side, so probably more or less not going to go down there.
Probably not a loner at night.
With other people, maybe.
Probably not.
Not alone.
I probably alone, but maybe not at night.
What if we told you that it was all a lie?
After watching that?
Makes sense.
That's kind of up to put someone through that.
Damn, you did a pretty good job. Because I wouldn't have figured that out.
We've dramatised the whole story there, so there's no opioid epidemic in MacArthur. We've used archival footage out of context. We've used outdated sources. We have falsified news articles and government statistics. And a lot of our pieces to camera were actually filmed in the suburb of Banks, which is one of the more disadvantaged suburbs on South Side. But in actuality, MacArthur is one of the most advantaged suburbs in Canberra. There have been opioid issues, obviously, across Australia and Canberra, but from what we can tell, they are on a decline of late. And the same goes for crime statistics in Canberra as well, even on South Side. So, was there any part of you that doubted this documentary or what was shown in it?
No. No,
No,
I
not?
believed all that.
Yeah.
I had no reason to doubt the information you were giving me, and I thought the statistics, they seemed legit.
Also, because it looked very official, it feels very real.
I didn't think it was fake.
I don't know much about Canberra. I'm pretty new to the area, so it's like, I'll take it. I'll believe it.
Would you have fact-checked these sources and statistics after you watched this documentary?
Is MacArthur on South Side?
Yeah.
Then no.
Probably not.
You can't imagine that something would be professionally released if it was basically just showing completely false evidence.
No, I wouldn't have.
Yeah, with my whole perception of Southside being a bit dodgy already, I would have been like, oh yeah, makes sense.
If I'm being honest, okay, I would have researched this afterwards.
In my day-to-day life, I might have brought that up to someone. I wouldn't have fact-checked the information before I said something to them.
Do you think an audience has a responsibility to fact-check a documentary?
I don't think they necessarily have the responsibility that they must fact-check everything as long as they're getting their results from something that they trust.
I think so now.
It's not their obligation to educate themselves.
I don't think audience members have to go fact check stuff.
At the end of the day, it's not the audience's job to look for that information. They're already searching for it just by watching the documentary.
I'm going to show you some highly acclaimed documentaries. Have you seen any of those ones, whether it be in school or of your own accord?
Yes, I've seen Super Size Me.
Bowling for Columbine.
I've seen Bowling for Columbine.
All right.
Oh, I've seen Super Size Me.
Yeah, cool. What if I told you that all of those ones contain falsehoods as well?
Considering what I know about Super Size Me, that wouldn't surprise me as much.
Yeah, no, I've done my research on both of them. There's a lot of stuff that isn't really documentary filmmaking. It's more just like him just trying to share his opinions.
With a team of 3 amateur filmmakers, a tiny budget, little to no sociology experience, and just 4 weeks of production turnaround time, we were able to convince several of our peers of this fake opioid epidemic in MacArthur. Imagine what we could do, and what has been done by other documentaries, with a full production, a research team, a large budget, and a driven agenda. Now that we've shown you how easy it is to manipulate an audience, do you think documentarians have too much power?
Depends on who the individual is and what their reputation is.
Just by having control of what someone sees is already a humongous amount of power.
I would say that not too much power, but maybe not necessarily always held to enough accountability for what they create.
Yeah, their primary result is to, make money. It's still a capitalist industry in that regard, that they're trying to reach a wider audience.
I guess it's not up to the documentarian. It should be up to the individual to decide whether or not they want to believe everything they read.
I think it's a very tricky line to walk because you've got to have a certain level of proper information, but also you need to keep your audience engaged. I think morals and ethics is a really difficult topic. There's no set rules. It's your morals, your ethics, what you believe in. I personally like to stick to my morals. I like ethics, I like rules, I like that sort of stuff, but a lot of people also don't care.
So it depends on the specific documentary maker?
Yes, I think so personally.
That's, I think, all we have for you this afternoon.